Azul DevRel Espresso, brewed for Java minds.
Okay, here we go again. So it's still Voxxed Bucharest. I have with me
Simon Martinelli.
Yes, and he's quite famous, right? You travel around the globe. I saw
try
you
to.
in the US, and then you have been at how many conferences in the last weeks?
Two. So I was in the DevNexus in Atlanta, then I had 10 days in Florida,
yeah.
vacation. And then I went to San Francisco for Java 1.
Oh yeah, how was Java 1?
It was very nice. It was not so big as Java 1 used to be, but it was very well organized. And the sessions were great. We had talks from Brian Gutz, for example, from the language architect, and Stuart Marks, and also other talks like mine.
So you got some insights about the future of Java.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. And I was also able at social events to directly talk with Brian and talk about his ideas and my ideas, which do not
always match.
No, but I understand him because Java is backward compatible.
Yeah,
so it's not so easy to change or to add some features, and that's trade-off.
So what did you talk about here? I just saw the abstract or the title. It was something like goodbye microservices, welcome, what was it? Self-contained services.
Self-contained systems.
Systems, okay. So that sounded quite interesting because microservices is still hyped, but you say no, we should do something different.
Yeah, the point is microservices, or the idea about microservices, is a bit misunderstood. Because usually people are doing that too fine-grained. But if you look at companies like Netflix, Google, or others that are using this architecture style, they have like a microservice with like a team of 7 or 8 people. So that's not micro. That's a small kind of project team, right? And people tend to do that too fine-grained, and they exclude the UI. And what self-contained system is doing, it adds the UI on top. And it says we are building a vertical slice through the application. Usually we adapt domain-driven design concepts like bounded context, and then we build one or more self-contained systems per bounded context. And the idea is to have none to very little synchronous communication between the self-contained systems. Usually you try to do that asynchronous, or what we do in my current project, we do data replication. This can be done directly with a tool, or this can also be done over message streaming, for example. And we try to reduce or eliminate the communication between the systems. And the UI is included. But now
what do you use for the UI?
I use Vaadin.
Vaadin, okay.
Yeah, that's a technology to build your entire UI with Java. In fact, during runtime, Vaadin is a single-page application. So there's a part, it's called Vaadin Flow, in the browser that communicates with the backend and exchanges the events that happen in the UI.
But this whole concept wasn't your idea, so it existed before?
It existed before, yeah.
Okay, so where does it come from?
So self-contained systems was introduced by InnoQ, a German consultancy, and there was Stefan Tilko, who unfortunately passed away a few years ago. And he was advocating for that style of application. They also say do server-side rendering, do progressive enhancement, so you may not need JavaScript in the front end. You can do that like with HTMX today, and the integration between the application parts will be over links, like we did it when we introduced the internet. So we can just do a link with some.
So that means, if I got it right, so it's like bundling the UI with the service to some kind of a system, right? And then it doesn't really matter what kind of UI you use, but you choose Vaadin. But that, for me, that means you need to know also about the UI. So it means you need you say, full stack developer to do that.
Absolutely.
So what is the big advantage? What do you think?
It depends on the application type. Look, if you have like a very fancy, interactive, customer-facing web application, you may need a front-end developer. But if you're doing business applications, and most of the UIs are quite boring,
you have form-based stuff.
Form-based, you have workflow, stuff like that, that's repeatable. It's always the same concept, so you don't need a front-end expert for every task, right? So you need a front-end UX expert that may build the components, does
the general style of
it defines design system for your application. It does UI mockups, how it should look like, stuff like that. For that, you need someone.
Yeah.
But then if it goes to implementing the business logic and the UI, you can just be a Java developer and do that because everything is given from the component side.
So what do you see, where do you see the big benefit of having a full stack developer?
It's much faster because you don't have a handover between front-end and back-end developer.
No communication, overhead,
and you can do the whole use case in one go.
Yeah.
So what very often happens, you have like a sprint doing the back-end, then they do certain API, and then a month later or 2 weeks later, the front-end developer starts with his work and he says, what's that API? I can't use that.
Yeah.
And now he can't change it because he's not a full stack developer, he tries to work around.
And then you end up with a UI that is some kind of...
Either the UI is not good or you have workarounds
Yeah.
in the API or in the usage of the API.
So it's mainly that the maintenance is better and it's more productive if you just do it in one.
And you should also said that in the talk, you should design your system for maintenance.
Yes,
because
totally agree.
if you start with a system, you may have a team of 10 people.
Yeah.
But this is like a 2-year project. After 2 years, you may have only 3 people in the team.
And maybe you even have people that never really have worked on the project before.
Exactly.
They have to,
And so it must be simple. So I really fight for simplicity in software development because most of the things that I see are too complicated. So
it's over-engineered stuff.
It's over-engineered.
Yeah.
Use the wrong tools or hype-driven development.
Yes.
Like
I love that. We see that these days again.
Yeah.
Right,
I mean, we are at the conference, right?
Yeah. So how's your impression about Voxxed Days Bucharest?
I like the conference. I'm already here for the second time. I've been here last year as well. It's very welcoming. I mean, Andra and Alex from the organizers are doing a great job. Food is great.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
I like the location, so it's very, and I like the audience here in Romania because they are very interested in the talks. They ask a lot of questions.
Yeah, it's engaging, right? So
engage with you, exactly.
Yeah, agree. Nice. Okay, so when will I see you next time?
I'm at
Voxxed Greece.
DevRel Greece, yes.
Yes. Okay. What's then the next one?
I've been to Javaland next week.
Okay.
And then I will go to JCon.
JCon, yes.
No, first JAX conference.
Oh,
I think JAX is first, then JCon, and then Spring I.O.
I already mentioned you're busy.
Yeah. I'm busy,
traveling a lot. So I hope to be back in Bern again because you also run the Java user group there.
Yeah, I do that together with Thomas Wenger. I kind of started the Java user group in Bern because I asked my friends from Zurich, why don't you do talks in Bern? And then they said, if we have a host like you, then we can do that. So I started it in 2011 because the Java user group in Switzerland is very old. It's from 1996. And then I was looking for some other people in the community, and Thomas was also very active. And so we switched places. So he's now in the board of the Java user group, and I'm just helping him to organize stuff. So we split the work, but very often we are both there for the talks because we just select talks that we also like. You know?
I was there last week in November, and it was really great. So I can just recommend, if you ever have the chance and would like to talk in Bern, talk to Simon. He knows how to do it. And it's a really good experience because I remember the city was so beautiful.
Yeah.
I really liked it a lot, so it was worth going. And there was some special, what was the day when I was there?
It was the onion market.
I was surprised. People putting confetti everywhere.
That's a traditional market. So it's called onion market because the farmers are bringing onions, but also other vegetables to the market. It starts at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
And people are going there and they have confetti and having fun and drinking stuff.
It was really nice to see so many people on the street in a good mood.
Exactly.
Okay, so thanks for the interview, and I see you around.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.